It's going to be a very, very intense journey.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 110 of the Frameskip podcast. I am Austin Eller, and I'm joined by George, the Flash again himself. He's the Flash this time.
I'm wearing a Flash shirt this time. I'm great. I'm flashing it up. Wally West
is flashing now us.
Yeah, I'm flashing the whole internet right now. Wally West is now the Flash in DC Comics. Good riddance to Barry Allen. Never liked that dude. Hate cops, especially nerd cops who are clearly virgins. So pretty happy to have Wally back in the fold. Wally, that's nice.
Oh, okay. I'm also joined by Seth. Pound Town Slake House.
All Flashes are nerds. I'm sick of it.
They do a lot of math for superheroes.
They do a lot of rooting continuities. They do.
Speaking of continuity, we kind of broke continuity with this episode because we have a fourth member who hasn't been here in approximately 4 months.
Has it been that long?
I'm pretty sure it was like before my wedding. I'm pretty sure. I might be wrong about that, but yes, the coach Kyle Newman is here.
That's
He's
3
back.
months, but okay.
He's back in business.
Yes, summer is over. I'm back.
My favorite joke to make in your absence has always been like, oh, you can find Austin at Austin J. Eller. You can find Seth at Seth the 90s Kid. You can find Coach probably in a gym somewhere pumping iron.
That's been every week. No joke.
Yeah,
every week.
working on them beautiful biceps of his. That was my running joke whenever I hosted an episode in your absence.
Also, Coach, 1 minute ago you asked if I shave my neck. I do shave my neck. It's just that recently I haven't given a care at all.
Act like a breaching whale.
I haven't shaved in approximately a week, so.
Okay.
Well, I wish that those listening to the show could see any of what we're talking about, but they can't. So here we are.
Seth, let's see the throat one more time.
Oh.
All right, take a screenshot. That's going on.
So I'll make that the thumbnail for this week's episode. How are you guys?
I'm great, bud.
Very good.
Feeling good in the neighborhood.
It's been a while since we've had everybody on. Feels good to be here, and we got a lot to talk about. Like games. So, Seth, what have you been playing?
I've been playing one game and one game only, and I completed that game approximately 2 days ago, Austin Eller. That game was Trails of Cold Steel 4. The Legend of Heroes, Trails of Cold
Congratulations.
Steel 4. The quadology is complete. The stars have aligned, and I still don't feel any different about this series.
Was that like hour 800?
Let me open my Steam profile, and to this game, I have 148 hours.
Good Lord.
Whoa.
And that is one playthrough, my friend. One. They're all that long.
That's too much.
Yeah, it is. It is. You could actually cut out about 50% of this series, and you could still have a very coherent story. I hate my life. The last dungeon lasted 20 hours. I want to reiterate, the finale dungeon lasted 20 hours. So then you have a situation in which you fight the final boss and they don't give you the true ending, right? You thought you were done. And then I was like, well, okay, how do you get the true ending? The true ending is you reload the save that you just completed and you fight another boss that takes approximately an hour to beat. And by the end of it, you're just so exhausted. I was like, I just want this game to end. Just take it away from me. So naturally, today I downloaded the next game in the series.
I was about to ask you that, are you going to continue? So you do plan to continue with the series?
I don't know why. I don't know what's pushing me, but I feel like there might be some sort of like psychological sunken cost fallacy thing where I'm like, well, I've already dumped 500 hours into this series. I might as well just keep going because I don't hate it all the time, right? It's only when like the games just trudge along that I can't stand. But like, there's awesome world building and awesome characters and like really cool scenes, and like the combat is like, as good as Persona 5, I would say, as far as turn-based combat goes. I just don't know.
Yeah, I don't think I'm ever going to play that series because that would take me several years. So, um, good to know though. Good to know that somebody physically has the capability to beat the four games that you played.
So I don't know if you guys ever heard this, but I actually picked up the first game like 7 years ago. I have the PS3 collector's edition of it, and I played the first hour of it, and I was like, I don't like this. I'm putting it down. But I had heard that these were like super long, hard RPGs, and I tried it again. I got maybe 10 hours in, and I was like, nope, this is definitely not for me, right? Well, then when we were living together, Pedro one day just comes downstairs and just goes, hey, I beat Trails of Cold Steel. And I was like, damn it. And that's how I had to actually complete Trails of Cold Steel, because I couldn't just let him leave me behind like that.
Wonderful.
How much of your life is dictated by Pedro?
I don't know. He's one of my best friends, so you got to imagine approximately 30%.
I was thinking like 20 to 28%, but yeah, 30. It sounds like 30 according to the past few podcasts we've done.
Yeah. Won't ever touch Street Fighter again.
I won't touch Street Fighter.
Played 600 hours of Trails of Cold Steel because Pedro beat him to it.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, I can't just let him beat Trails of Cold Steel and me just sitting here like some loser. I was forced to beat Trails of Cold Steel. I don't know. And I just it somehow ended up where I am now.
Is he caught up on the series, or did you beat him to 4?
He beat 4 approximately a year ago. But see, I have him now. I have him in my clutches because he's very technologically illiterate. So this next game, Trails into Reverie, right? I have an English patch attached to it on my PC, and I'm going to beat it before him. God's willing, I will beat this game before Pedro.
It kind of sounds like dog years, like 1 Pedro hour equates to 7 Seth hours.
I don't know how he beats him so fast. I got like 1 Trails game in me per year, and that's a journey I'll go on. Yeah. And now I don't want to play any more RPGs, but I have to. So
you didn't look tired when we started the podcast, but you look tired now that we've been talking about Trails of Cold Steel.
Yeah, you're like emotionally, physically drained.
You're just exhausted.
I am. It was funny the other night because I was playing it, and I told Caitlin, I was like, I'm almost done with it. And then like 7 hours later, I'm like, I'm on the last part. I swear to God. Like we'll watch like a movie or something after I'm done. And then it just kept going, man. It just never stops. I don't know. But you know what the crazy thing is that I found out about this series? It's a Japanese series. But most of its sales numbers come from the Chinese and Korean market.
Huh.
It's actually not that big in Japan. It's very weird.
I wonder why.
I don't know.
Speaking of Japan, Seth.
Yeah.
You've been learning Japanese.
I have been learning Japanese. I have. It's a weird language.
What prompted you to make this venture?
I don't remember. Oh, okay. Now I remember. It was because I was going to try and play the next Trails game without...
So, wait a second. Hold on. You're learning Japanese because you...
Yes.
Okay, you're too far deep in on this one, man. We need like a mediator between you and the Trails of Cold Steel series.
Like, they take years to translate these games for some reason, and I don't know why. Like, the fans have already translated Trails into Reverie, right? I have a fan translated patch on my computer that I'm running, but like the official translations take like 2 or 3 years to come out, and that's generous. So I'm like, well, I've always wanted to learn Japanese anyway. Let me try and learn this, and I can like, kind of practice while I'm playing through these games, which are all super like visual novels. So whatever. That was my goal, and it's going along pretty well. I feel like I'm learning Japanese quite quickly.
Very good. It's an easier language to learn than people think. Is what I've realized.
I don't like how the context is flipped. And like I told you before, it's weird that the context of the sentence is at the end of the statement. I don't get it. I always screwed up.
it's all out of order because English works in subject, verb, object
Yeah.
format, whereas Japanese works in subject, object, verb format. So like the verb is always the final thing in the sentence.
Yeah. So you gotta listen
So-
to the whole statement before
true.
you understand what's happening.
It's true, which is why we had to listen to your entire thing about Trails of series to figure out that you're learning Japanese because of the Trails of series.
I am. That is true.
So, speaking of gamers, we're here, we're talking about games. Coach, I hear you've been playing a lot. What's going on?
So I haven't been really playing anything. Like I just haven't had time. Right? Time, and it's not that I don't have desire, it's just I had to put work priorities first. So just being here today was like a step in the right direction for me to kind of like get back. I installed Mass Effect Legendary Edition on the PS4. So the platinum isn't really that difficult to get. So it was a toss-up between that or God of War. So I think I'm going to go with Mass Effect.
Have you ever played Mass Effect before?
Never.
Okay. This one.
Oh man,
Why?
you love Star
You
Wars.
had
I
like
think,
this.
I think you're going to enjoy it.
Yeah, but he has this grin on his face. Why? What's up? What am I in for?
Well, you just said that like Mass Effect's an easy platinum, but I feel like you can only say that if you don't know the context of the series, because Mass Effect is a very large game.
Right.
It is a super easy platinum, though. He's 100% right.
You know what I don't like about Mass Effect? Let me tell you about this right now. I'm
Andromeda.
I'm gonna let you know something. I don't like Andromeda, that's true. But I don't like how they went back and they were like, hey, we're remastering the series and we're like improving the combat dynamics and stuff like that. And then like the game barely plays any better than it did in 2006 in the Legendary Edition. And it's very frustrating to me because the first Mass Effect has the best story out of all three of them, and it has the worst gameplay in the history of mankind. And that is a fact.
I never played the Legendary Edition. I need to try it out at some point. I need to just buy it.
Oh, I
to
do
have
think
it.
they, if I remember correctly, I do think they improved the vehicle shooting. What's that vehicle?
Mako?
Is it the Mako? Is that the
Mako?
thing's
Yeah.
name?
Did you try it, George?
Yeah, I platinumed the first one. I platinumed the second one, and I started the third one. And then I was like so burnt out on Mass Effect because I did those in like back-to-back weeks. I just had to take a break. And like I don't think it really plays any different. Like the part that's less frustrating, I just remember dying a lot in the original Mass Effect, and like the load times are way better. So like that made combat easier, just because like if I died, it was fine. But then like I don't think the combat was ever that bad. I agree it's the worst of the three, but I don't think it's like I'm not going to play this game bad. That makes
I just remember
sense.
driving up on mounds to aim the Mako gun because you didn't have vertical aiming, the Mako cannon.
Yeah, that happened a
I
lot.
do remember that.
It was
That
cool
was a lot
having
of
a
fun.
car that could jump. Coach, I'm really happy for you. Just as like a big Star Wars fan, I think you will enjoy Mass Effect. It is probably in like my top 5 like sci-fi properties. Like, I just think it's such a cool world.
Might be like number 2 for me, maybe number 1.
Yeah, it's
Maybe
very
number
high
1.
for me too.
I think Mass Effect universe is better than the Star Wars universe.
I'd agree with that.
I think Gundam Universe is better than anything ever. Watch more Unicorn.
Gundam gets wacky. Gundam gets wacky, dude.
In different timelines, that's fine. Coach, anything else besides Mass Effect?
So last week I was messing around with Paper Mario on the Nintendo Switch Online, and I was having some serious latency issues. However, I went online and did some checking, and in order for the Nintendo 64, like the whole online Switch Online stuff to work, your TV needs to be in game mode. So once I put it into game mode, it was right there. So
so I have a weird issue. Speaking about TVs, I got a new TV for my room. It's a 43 inch, I think, and it's great. It's beautiful. I love the TV. Here's the issue. it doesn't fit on the bookshelf that I had set up in my room. I cannot wall mount this TV because I have very angled ceilings, as you can see. Can't do it. I need it to swivel because I want to play games in that room and also watch TV in bed. So I cannot find a small little entertainment center with like a swivel head on it, and I don't know what to do about this. I'm about to go like buy one of those office swivels that like roll out the TV and you can like. I don't know what to do.
Can't you get a sheet of plywood and just put it on top of your bookshelf as like a new base, and you could anchor it against the wall?
That is a good idea, man.
What are you, some kind of carpenter,
No.
George?
No, but my dad was a carpenter, so.
Here is the one thing that I forgot to mention in that story is that bookshelf that I was on, for some reason, fell apart, and as being held together with a 2x4 and duct tape.
Okay, so don't do what I suggested. Also, I feel a little misled with my suggestion.
Just
I'll brainstorm.
Go to like Goodwill, places like that might have furniture, or if there's a used office furniture store in one of your big cities in Pennsylvania.
I don't know what to do about it. It's frustrating me very much. There seems to be no good solution. I'm about to just build a table.
Do it. It's not that hard.
Austin, what are you up to? You haven't talked about yourself at all.
Well, I need to ask George.
George,
what in the world have you been up to before I get to myself?
I've played 2 games. One of them I played with Austin, so I'm going to save that one, and we can have like a deeper discussion. But I started playing Mobile Suit Gundam SD Battle Alliance, the new Gundam game that released digitally. I'm playing it on PlayStation 5. And the big problem with Gundam games is that they're usually not very good. I think that's like my biggest gripe when it comes to Gundam games is they're either really boring or they're just too crazy. And this one is a complete fan service story where there's no such thing as like a straightforward Gundam game. Like there's so many different timelines. You're never just going to drop into like the 1 year war from like the Universal Century. You're never going to fight like in a straightforward Gundam series because there's too many Gundam series and fans want different things. So they always come up with like this weird story to explain why all these different Gundams from all these different series are appearing in the same game. And so in this one, you're fighting in the 1 year war in 1 second, and then you're pulled out into this place called the G universe, which is like apparently like an omnipresent timeline where everything is legitimate and happened realistically. And you're basically being Osmosis Jones. You're supposed to fix the timelines. You're going into these different situations where something goes wrong. So for example, in the first level, I was just playing this not that long ago. I am in a Zaku from the Universal Century timeline, and I'm supposed to help Gundam Barbados with like something from the end of that series. Basically, I'm not going to spoil it, but as we're making our way through a scenario that is very appropriate for Mobile Suit Gundam, was it Blood Orphans? What's that series called, Seth?
Iron-Blooded Orphans.
Iron-Blooded Orphans, thank you. As we're making our way through a scenario that's very realistic to that, all of a sudden things just change, and I'm not fighting like the typical grunt units from that. I'm fighting Leos from Gundam Wing, and then at the end of that level, I'm fighting with Barbados against Gundam Epion in my Zaku 2. So it's just like it really feels like someone just took action figures from all their different series and they're just smacking them together as hard as they can to try to make a fun video game. And the video game, for the most part, is fun. The controls are really frustrating. It's just like a third-person action game. And you can't use the camera, like you can't use like the right analog stick. The right analog click in, like R3, is how you lock on to someone, but it also is how you recenter the camera. So when I'm trying to like acquire a new target because I'm trying to time out my moves, I'm constantly either picking someone or just like looking straight ahead of me. So it's really frustrating. It makes the game feel really claustrophobic. All the levels are incredibly small, which adds to that level of claustrophobia. But it just feels really good to have, Gundam back in my life as a video game. So that, for the most part, is what I'm enjoying.
So I wanted to say, when are we going to talk about Bandai Namco's inconsistency? Because Bandai Namco creates some of the greatest RPGs, I would say, currently with the Tales series. and they are really good action games as well. They have like a fighting game mixture with them, and they're extremely high quality. And Bandai Namco makes a ton of really high quality games, but also they make a ton of really low quality games with really low quality developers, right? Why? Why don't we get like
Yeah.
a real dude, a Gundam action game with like really cool mechanics should be a shoo-in. It should be like so easy. That series is extremely popular, and we do not have a single amazing Gundam game. It's been going on. When did the first series come out, George?
78, 77.
And I would argue that the Gundam fighting games that we got on PS1 were probably the best Gundam games we ever got. And that's
there's a couple on
unfortunate.
PS2, but they were just like kind of generic arcade shooters, which like I'm fine with, right? Like it used like the Gacha Force engine, and like it was fun, but like they weren't good.
I mean, it's so frustrating, man. Like there is so much to explore with Gundam video games, and they do not take advantage of it. And I don't know what it is, because like there's other huge series that Bandai Namco just absolutely, fumbles.
Disrespects, yeah.
Shonen Jump, they made like 3 Shonen Jump games. They're just fighting games with like the most historic fighting game characters of all time, right? And they fumbled the ball on every single one of them. They fumbled the ball on all the Naruto games. They fumbled the ball on all the Sword Art Online games. They completely missed the shot with the Sword Art Online games. I don't understand what Bandai Namco is doing.
Yeah.
It makes no sense.
Those Sword Art games were so poorly made.
Yes.
Like looking back on it, like I still played them because we had nothing else, but they were just, I mean, you could have released those in 1995 and probably would have been exactly the same as what they turned out when they released in 2015.
I don't get what Bandai Namco's doing over there, because it's like they have like an A team and then like an E team, and there's no in between.
But then you've got two, like, was it Smash for 3DS and Wii U that was made primarily by Bandai? Am I recalling that correctly?
Yeah.
Dude,
and
they
those
make
games
really
were
good
fantastic.
games.
So
They make really good games.
Yeah.
Scarlet Nexus, right, was a great game. Bandai Namco. Dragon Ball Z Kakarot, Dark Souls, right? Code Vein. These games are great. Why do they make just great games and then crap games? It doesn't make any sense. They made the Soul Calibur series, right? An excellent fighting game series. Soul Calibur is one of the most legendary fighting game series of all time. Why can't they make a good Gundam game?
It's really frustrating because, like, as I mentioned earlier, I think Gundam is like my favorite sci-fi property of all time, right? And the last good Gundam game I can remember, I had to import it from Japan off eBay, and it's Gundam UC Side Stories 81, right? But like, again, like they can never tell just like a straightforward story, and that's what bums me out the most. Like everything has to be like omniversal presence, and I understand why, but like I really think that's hindering the game. Like I'm tired of always like having to like a flirty AI talk to me about how I need to correct the timelines. It's like, why don't you just like make like a war game? Right? And like Gundam Evolution, like their Overwatch clone, that's a great game. That is like a legitimately incredibly enjoyable game. I got to play the beta, like the open weekend. That was so much fun. I cannot wait for that game to come out. But again, that's also like, that's a great game. It's a Gundam game, but that is not like the Gundam game I'm looking for. Like I want something not even like Armored Core, but something that just takes itself more seriously than any game that ever gets released in the West. And I just don't think it's ever going to happen, which is unfortunate because that was all we got on the PlayStation 2 era. And that's really frustrating.
Yep, I agree.
Well, speaking of other games we've been playing, George, you've got one. I've got one. We've both been playing it. We talked about this on last week's show. I think this is the only time we've like committed to something and actually made it happen. And we both played Destiny 2. And I haven't played since Vanilla. George, you haven't played in
I haven't played
years,
in
you said?
probably like a year, maybe a year and a half. I got really into it again, like after Trials of Osiris, and then I think the Forsaken DLC was like the last time I played, but that was a couple DLCs ago. And Witch Queen just came out not too long ago. They teased, what is it? Not
Lightfall.
Beyond Light, Lightfall.
I
That's
think,
the one.
yeah.
And dude, I'm addicted all over again. I forgot why I left Destiny to begin with.
Yeah, I loved Destiny 1 when it came out. I loved Destiny 2 when it came out, but for both of them I never picked up the expansions. And so 2, I got all the expansions. I'm way back in now and just man, I forgot how good mechanically that game is. I mean, it's like a masterclass first person shooter wise. Some of those mechanics are so good. And they
Yeah,
just feel
we've talked about
spot
it. I think
on.
it's like
Yeah.
the best feeling headshot that you could possibly do,
Yep.
like of the last 10 years, probably.
Yep.
What's changed since Blizzard left?
I don't know all the details, but I know that people seem genuinely positive about all the new expansions that they've released ever since they left Blizzard, and of course Sony owns them now, which is crazy. But I know Witch Queen, I hear nothing but like superb things about. I don't know what you've heard, George, but I've just heard that Witch Queen is like top tier, some of the best first person shooter design of all time.
Yeah, I've got a clan that like I stayed a member of these past few years, even when I wasn't playing, and like they just
Yeah.
had a Discord channel, and they had other channels in that Discord. So like, oh, I talk about comics, I like stay in touch with people,
Right.
talk about TV shows, all that stuff, but like never talk about Destiny. I just took a break from it. And I jumped back in. I was like, hey everyone, like I'm back. I'm looking to get back into it. I hope you'll have me. Like if you see me online, please shoot an invite. And everyone was like super welcoming. They were just happy to have someone else to play with. And
Yeah.
all they could talk about was like, you need to play like the Witch Queen campaign. It's incredible. I'm like, okay, cool. And I'm jumping back in. I don't understand the story anymore.
Yeah.
I don't even understand the mechanics anymore. Like I think the simplest Destiny was Destiny 1 after probably
Right.
like the first raid release, like after Atheon came out. And that was like a structure that I could really understand. And now there's just so much going on. I think the UI has gotten better because like they highlight which events will actually get you better gear with just like a little yellow circle. Um but like finding the story and finding out where to go and finding quests, I think has gotten harder to do, but honestly, it's not like a turnoff for me as much as it is just like making me more curious and like making me fight to better understand what's going on. So
Yeah.
I'm in, man. This is going to be like a new, I hope, like weekly ritual that we jump into playing Destiny together.
The content is incredible. I mean, it's very clear that the game is just extraordinarily expansive now. There's so much to do and so much to see, and they've really made it, for better or worse, like some of the mechanics of like the RPG kind of elements of the game. So like all the little mods you can do for your weapons and like the class mods, they've really expanded that stuff. Like I had not realized how many little things you could go in and adjust now. So to me, what I've seen is for better or worse, there's probably a larger learning curve now, but they've really expanded the systems of the game to make it more MMO esque in a way. And so I'm just totally in. I've been playing it pretty much every day and just in love. I'm so glad to revisit it, and it plays fantastic on PS5.
It's making me a nerd, man. I'm looking stuff up on YouTube, like how to find certain guns, how to like understand the
Yep.
story, just like certain lore videos. Like it's really
Yep.
starting to consume my life in like a pretty fun way, to be honest. It feels almost like a sport, just like having something entirely new and expansive to catch
Yep.
up on. So it's been a lot of fun.
And I love to this was not a thing in the game when I played it last, but they've added crossplay, so you can play with anybody on any platform. So Andy was playing the Steam version last night, and I was playing on PS5, and we were playing together. And it also has cross save. So if you're playing on PS5 and jump to PC, your save carries with you. And I just love the flexibility of the game now too. So many cool little things that they've changed over time. So,
Awesome.
but that's all I've been playing.
Now that Coach is here, finally, I would like to bring up Gotham Knights.
Oh,
Because, Coach, did you see the Harley Quinn boss fight that came out?
No, I haven't. After they did their little presentation in the summer, I've lost all interest in that game.
This is a game that I was super, super excited for, but the more I see of it, the more I'm like, what are you doing? Dude, you can make a really fun boss fight like out of Harley Quinn, right? And first off, Austin and George, did you guys watch the Harley Quinn boss fight that they released?
no, I just pulled it up right now, and I'm watching it as we're talking.
I don't know what they're doing with this game, and I don't know why they keep showing off things that look so bad. It's almost like they're purposefully trying to tank it, because they relegated Harley Quinn to like just swinging her hammer around, and maybe the worst Harley Quinn design I've ever seen. I get they were going for more of like a
Yeah, her
crazy
design
look
is awful.
for Harley Quinn. But I also think it's weird because Harley Quinn hasn't been viewed as a villain maybe since the last Arkham game. And I don't really, I mean, man, I just feel like this gameplay looks 10,
I'm watching it right now.
10 or
It
so
looks,
years old.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. It looks like an early PS3 game. It looks so
Yeah.
slow and like just not very fluid. And you've got, for I guess it's like the counterattacks. I don't know how it works. I know in the Arkham games, when somebody was attacking you, you'd have the little like bat symbol or whatever it was, like appear above your head, that's supposed to
The
indicate,
icon.
hey, yeah, like you're supposed to hit Y or whatever it is to counter. I don't know what it is, but when she's attacking, there are like red circles appearing around her hands that I guess that's supposed to indicate the counter move, and just doesn't really look good from a UI standpoint. So
This is really disappointing to me because I like the Bat family more than I like Batman. Like Nightwing, Red Hood, Robin, Batgirl. Like I like them. I think they're way cooler than Batman. And I was really excited for this game, and I'm just like, man, it just doesn't feel right. Like something's really missing the mark, and it doesn't feel like a modern game. It feels like a game that came out in 2008, I think. I don't know. George, what's your take on Gotham Knights?
I never really cared about this game, to be honest, just because like I have only played Arkham Asylum. I never finished City. I never finished Night. And I just really like I really value those games as like single player experiences. And so like this is the co-op one, right? Where like it's supposed to be more of like games as a service.
I mean, yeah, it's supposed to be like a co-op game, but it's not related to the Arkham games supposedly in any way, even though it's kind of, it looks exactly the same.
That's
And
clearly
Nightwing fights exactly the same with the same stance and everything as the Arkham game, so I'm not really sure what the deal is. But I don't know, man. It's just, I thought it'd be really cool to like jump in. The first red flag should have been when they were like, it's not 4-player co-op. It's only 2-player co-op. That should have been the first red flag. But then like they showed like these weird Fortnite like animations, and I don't know. It's just it's weird. They keep showing off like abysmal stuff.
So here's my thinking on this is, and this is what I felt at first, is if it's not broke, don't fix it. You can adapt, you can make changes, and you can make it feel different with keeping the same fighting mechanics as the previous games. Because that's why we loved it, is because it just flowed so well, right? And to me, just looking at this, it's just I don't know what they're trying to do. I don't know what their ultimate goal is, what game they want to produce. It just looks, it looks, everything I've seen is just unsatisfying to the max.
Yeah.
Where I don't care about this game.
I think the top comment on the Reddit thread for this Harley Quinn trailer. First off, why would you release a trailer, not a trailer, but like a gameplay of a boss fight? It's kind of weird, but
yeah,
it says, as far as boss fights go, that looked very boring. Harley Quinn has so much potential as a chaotic boss fight, but they chose to focus on her swinging around a hammer. This game is in such a weird place for me. It doesn't look bad, but it hasn't done anything that excites me either. It feels like a safe, generic ARPG, but I wish it was more. That perfectly encapsulates kind of how I feel about it. It's very generic and boring, and there's no reason it should be like that. I think they're missing the mark completely.
That's the thing. It's so disappointing because I remember when they first announced this game. I mean, the overall concept of a multiplayer co-op Bat family game like the Arkham series, I mean, that just sounds wonderful. But then, like you said, Seth, you got the announcement that it's only 2-player, even though you have 4 characters, and you look at gameplay like this. I mean, I just can't think of any other word for this gameplay other than slow. Like, it just looks slow. There's nothing exciting and energetic about the combat that I'm watching right now.
No, and Nightwing should be like extremely fast.
And what's interesting? What's interesting is Arkham City raised the bar, right, for comic book games. Okay, then Spider-Man came on, and that pushed it through the roof. So for me, any more games that come out, like you have this one, and then you have Suicide Squad next year, right? Supposedly, did they do?
Yeah.
They didn't push that to 2024. It's still coming out next year. Okay, not yet, right? So that's what I'm judging this game off is how is it going to be compared to Spider-Man? Because right now, to me, that's the best game for comic books right there.
And this one's being developed by Warner Brothers, right? Like this isn't Rocksteady. This isn't the Arkham team.
Yeah, this is WB Montreal, who did Arkham Origins, and they ported City over to the Wii U.
Gotcha. It's disappointing. Like, I personally never really got into the Arkham series. I just didn't like the art direction, to be honest. Like, I didn't like Batman's suit. I didn't like the way the world looked. I really, really liked Asylum. Like, I thought that was just like a great game. And then City came out like a week before midterms for me, my senior year of college. So, like, I played it for a couple days, and I was like, I'll come back to it. And then all of a sudden, 10 years went by, and I never went back to it. I just never found like that take on Gotham particularly interesting, so I always kind of stayed away. But I was like letting myself get excited for this game, and it just feels like they're just saying like all the wrong things. Like, it feels like this was a game that they wish could have come out 4 years ago, but is just like taking so long to develop that like everything that we wanted 4 years ago, like the goalposts have already shifted. So like this game is not made for a modern audience, but is made for someone in the past. Like it was, some ghost idea of a good game. And so that it just seems like it's already behind the ball.
That's a really good take.
Agreed.
I concur.
Agreed.
Here.
I won the podcast, guys. Look at that.
George, I hear we're going to have an update on something we set forth like the first of this year. I know we're all going to be disappointed, so here we are.
We are. You mentioned it at the top of the show when we were talking. Seth is doing pretty well. We mentioned at the top of the show about like we played Destiny because we said we would play Destiny on the podcast and we wanted to follow through. So in the spirit of following through, we are reevaluating our gaming goals that we set forth at the beginning of the year. How do you guys want to do this? You want to do like one goal each, or do you want to do one person analyze and then move on to the next person? That's how I want to do it.
Yeah, do that one.
Do it how you want to do it, buddy.
All right. So starting with Elijah. Elijah can't be with us tonight. Love Elijah, miss Elijah. So just to get his out of the way, because he is very much a part of the show, he wanted to beat 52 games. He wanted to reach 200 platinums. When we recorded our goals episode, he was at 117. And specifically of those 52 games he wanted to beat, he wanted half of them, 26, to be indie games, quote unquote, which is just, I think, smaller studios to give them some attention. And according to his Twitter, he's on pace to actually beat 52 games this year. I'm not sure about the indie game designation, but I think he is doing well and living up to his goal that he set. But we will check back in with him sometime soon and hopefully get him back on the show towards the end of the year so we could talk about that. All right, Coach, do you want to go next, or do you want Seth to go next?
No, I'll go next because mine's short and sweet.
It sure is. All right, I got you right here. I took notes when we were recording. Coach, goal 1, getting my feet wet with platinums. I want a platinum quarterly, but I really want 10. Difficult with training and job. So you wanted to get to 10 platinums.
No, the realistic was quarterly.
Quarterly, yeah.
So I got one in the first quarter, not in the second quarter. So next month we end the third quarter. So I got to somehow make up for the spring and get one in the fall and the winter. So,
hey man, you got Mass Effect, baby. Yeah.
So we'll see. And I honestly haven't been gaming at all this year. So once we got into April and we were focusing on the state exams, I kind of had to put everything to the side. So.
Very cool. I personally haven't really cared about gaming since around April either, so I get it. Like, I bought Ghostwire Tokyo and I was so excited for that game. I played 3 hours of it and I was like, I'm good. Moving on. Coach's second goal. Not height for Gotham Knights. Wow. Nostra Coach. Yeah, Nostra Coachus over here. But I want to go through and play the Arkham games again, Asylum, City, Origins, Night, and work them into editing videos.
So I remember I kind of started the Arkham Knight, and as I was playing, I just couldn't get into it. Like I just couldn't get into it. So that one, just no go on that one.
Fair enough. I think this next one you might be able to get more into, but we'll see. Your third and final goal, really 2 goals. You've 95%ed Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze. You wanted to go back and 100% Donkey Kong Returns and Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze.
Sitting on my shelf right over there.
Okay, perfect.
So it could still happen.
Yeah,
could still happen.
Hey, we still got like 3 months of the year, man.
It's so hard to figure out like what game I'm in the mood for that will keep me, maybe debating like, do I stay up an extra hour so I could get through this, or, so it's just it's a struggle right now,
Mm-hmm.
And plus my heart right now is I've been doing a lot of research on bike packing, which is something phenomenal, especially in West Texas and New Mexico. So I've been putting a lot of my time into that as well. So I don't know. We'll see. I'm just going to focus.
You mean you're packing your bike?
Yeah. You okay.
Into a bag.
No.
Into a
put
sandwich.
Bags on your bike and you just go out and you go mountain bike. It's mountain biking.
Through security.
Yes. Drugs.
Area
vapes,
51.
Vapes with marijuana,
Sneaking that bike on an airplane.
Yes. So
your emotional support bike.
So there's a lot of different types of gear, that you have to that you need to get. So
handguns.
Yes.
You say bike nuts?
Bike nuts.
Yes, that's what he said.
Like those truck nuts, but for a bike. Yeah, that'd be great.
Yes.
They make them. that they make them for sure. They make them.
There's no way this podcast was the first group of people to come up with bike nuts.
And if we were, give us back our idea.
They absolutely do make them. Truck nuts get turned into a bouncing bike light, and they light up.
Well, that's cool, Coach. That'd be great. That way you can bike at night.
Yes.
Oh my God!
Have
so
some
cool.
balls dangling around.
You know what? I'm proud of you.
When's your birthday, Coach? Might send you some bike nuts.
May 28th.
Oh, okay, next year.
Speaking of birthdays, mine's tomorrow.
Oh,
no way!
Yeah.
Happy
All right.
birthday!
How old are you going to be?
29.
What?
Look
29.
at that. 29.
Oh, Jesus!
The big 2-9.
Yeah.
You're just like
old.
2 years older than my son.
I am.
That is true.
I don't know.
That is true.
That is wild. Dude.
Are you saying I'm young or I'm old? I'm not really sure.
Young.
No, I'm not young. Almost 30, Coach.
In my experience, I'm 32. I turned 32 in July. In my experience, 29 is way worse than 30 because you spend your entire 29th year worrying about turning 30. And by the time you turn 30, you're too exhausted to care about being 30.
I don't know if I care about turning 30. I felt like I've been old since 23. So
yeah, you know what? You're not the first person to say that. So we'll see. We'll see.
I'm
just saying.
I'll say
we'll
this: 30s was the best time of my life.
Yeah.
Yes. 30s. Well, that whole decade was good. I was here, just got here, single, working through that divorce, and just having fun along the way.
Well, I can tell you this: every Saturday we order pizza at work, so I don't know how much better it gets from here, buddy.
Just a little.
All right. Speaking of Seth and his pizza parties, Seth had 3 goals. Goal number 1 was to not sweat it. Just don't worry about it. Quote, man, I got all these games in my backlog. I got to force myself to play this. I don't care anymore. It's not a big deal. If you want to, you'll make the time for it. If I really wanted to play this, I would. It wouldn't be in my backlog. That was goal number 1.
Hold on. I'm going to argue. I'm going to argue that Seth has failed at this because Trails of Cold Steel 4 happened.
What's
and
number 2,
we just had
George?
a whole conversation about how he felt forced to play this game.
Seth's second goal was to beat Trails of Cold Steel 4. And Seth's third goal was to complete the other 2 goals. so man bet on himself and man won. Look at that.
No, I feel like I've completed goal number 1 because I haven't touched a single game in my backlog other than Trails of Cold Steel 4, which I did want to play.
Okay.
I waited until last month to start it, I think. 2 months ago, 3 months ago. How long have I been playing this game? I don't know. Time is relative. I'm just lost.
I respect it.
Yeah, I don't know what I'm going to play next.
Trails of Cold Steel 5, right?
Nah, they stop at 4. After 4,
Trails
it goes
of
Trails into Reverie.
Okay.
And then the next game is in Japanese. Still not given an English title yet. Kuro no Kuseki.
Well, congratulations, Seth, on accomplishing your goals, and it's only September. Good job.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm starting to get stressed out about that backlog, though, so we'll see.
I'm gonna burn through mine really fast. I wanted to get to 100 platinums. I started the year with 87, and as of Wednesday, August 31st, I have 87 platinums. I have not platinumed a single game this year. We'll see. I don't know. I think I could reach 100, but I really got to start caring in a way that I just haven't the last 8 months, 9 months. So we'll see. Number 2 on my goals, I wanted to beat Ocarina of Time 3DS and Final Fantasy 13 specifically. Those were 2 games I wanted to beat. I think I'm actually going to start Ocarina of Time 3DS probably this weekend. I've never finished that game before. I have started and played Ocarina of Time so many times, but I've never actually beaten the game myself. So time to cross that one off the list. I wanted to begin a Twitch channel for 2000s era comic book games. I have done that. I have started a Twitch channel. I have played several hours of X-Men Legends on that Twitch channel. So I'm going to count that as a win.
Look at you.
Yeah, I wanted to play a new Apple Arcade game each week for the podcast. I've done that. I've never talked about them on the podcast. Star Trek Fleet Command is pretty fun. You should play it. And number 5, beat 1 recommended game a month, according to the podcast. I forgot this was one of my goals, and I've never asked you guys to recommend a game for me to beat.
That's true.
So probably going to start with
Trails of Cold Steel 4, George.
Oh, get it the hell out
Jump
of here.
in there, buddy.
Get the hell out of here. Austin, you ready to hear yours?
Yes.
All right. You wanted to platinum Persona 5.
It is still possible. I just need to play the game, which I have not done so far this year.
Is it likely?
Frankly, probably not. No.
Okay.
Probably not.
We'll see about your second goal. You want to play through the rest of the main Zelda games you've never beaten, including Link's Awakening Remake, Oracle of Ages and Seasons, Link to the Past, and Minish Cap.
Speaking of probably not, that was too ambitious. So no, that is probably also not going to happen.
Do you think you could beat one of those by the end of the year?
Maybe. I might be able to finish Link's Awakening at bare minimum, because I have that sitting on my Switch.
I was thinking Minish Cap is probably most likely.
That is a good one, too.
And your third and final goal, you wanted to stick to only 5 full-price games in 2022.
Okay, so I think this one I'm still actually going to hit. I, so far, have purchased Gran Turismo 7 and Monster Hunter. And that's it. So I think I can make that work still. I am going to buy Splatoon, I'm going to buy God of War, and frankly, that's probably it for the rest of this year. So that would put me at 4.
Nice.
Didn't God of War get pushed back to next year?
No. It's
for some reason I thought it did.
November. I'm proud of myself for at least like reaching that one, though. At least I think I'm going to, because that was the one where I don't think I bought too many games last year, but I was trying to set some financial goals as well.
I think that's actually probably the most important goal you had.
Yes, I agree. I agree. So, well, cool. We're making our way. We'll see where we're at the end of the year. Hopefully, we can all knock out some of these goals. Seth already won, so we don't have to worry too much on that front.
I feel like I gave myself kind of a shoe in though. You know, like mine are pretty easy.
Oh, really? Your third was a shoe in? Is that what you're?
And your person. I'm not sweating it.
I do want to ask George a question.
Yeah, please.
Okay, here it comes. George, how difficult on a scale of 1 to 10 was the platinum for Rift Apart?
Not difficult at all. It was the previous Ratchet and Clank game, like the remake for PlayStation 4. That one was way more frustrating because you had to replay the game several times to get everything you needed to upgrade all the weapons, and they completely removed that from Rift Apart. Rift Apart is probably like a 12 to 13 hour platinum.
It's not very long at all.
And it's
You got it, Austin?
Super fun.
Yes, I have it too.
You got it?
I got it.
No way, bro.
If Austin can do it, yeah.
Maybe I should play that one just to get that summer platinum, and then maybe Spyro 3. I heard Spyro 3 is the easiest of the 3 to platinum.
Spyro 3, like I was super into those games. I never played them before, and then like last December, maybe the December before, I played them on the podcast and like platinumed all 3 of them back to back to back, and just had a blast. I'd never played the Spyro games before, and those are super fun.
I love Spyro. It's like super fun. I played it a lot as a kid.
Better than Crash Bandicoot. Better than Crash Bandicoot.
Yeah, it is better than Crash Bandicoot.
What you people say. I love Crash Bandicoot too, but it is a better series.
Are there any skateboarding levels in Crash Bandicoot?
Crash Bandicoot's like mechanically extremely punishing, I think. It's like too hard for kids. Who was like the demographic they were aiming for.
And as Austin just confirmed, there's no skateboarding levels, so what's the point? Why would you want to play as a Bandicoot who's running when you could play a dragon who skateboards?
Are we sure Crash Bandicoot doesn't have any skateboarding levels? 'Cause I swear to God, that was like a PlayStation thing, like Crash Bandicoot with a skateboard back in the day.
There might be. I'm not exactly positive. I will say there were some interesting levels in Crash Bandicoot. There's one where you fly a plane, so that's something.
That is true.
But do you ever play as a dragon?
No.
No.
And dragons are sweet, so.
Yeah. Especially little purple ones. Yeah. I'm excited for you, Coach. Spyro is awesome. The other platinum I recommend to you to hit your quarterlies, Star Wars Episode 1 Racer.
I remember you playing that, and you said you liked it.
I had never played that game before. I'd only played like the arcade version, like when you were in the actual pod.
Oh, that was awesome, man.
And if I ever become a billionaire, that'll be like my first purchase is like getting that arcade cabinet.
Dude, last month they had the lottery, man. That person won that 1 point something billion.
Well, that idiot probably
Coach,
isn't spending money on Episode 1 Racer.
Love that game.
That's a super fun platinum too.
I'm curious how the platinum is for Republic Commando. You think that's one you could get, Coach?
I think that game's hard.
Okay, so I studied it out because I'm like, okay, I need to get this because this is one of my favorite games, right? So basically, the 2 hardest things to do is, one, you got to beat it on hard mode, right? So you're going to die a lot of times. And actually, that's one of the trophies is to die a certain amount of times. But the other one is when you're on Geonosis at the beginning and you're going through their hive, you have to, when you go into that area, you have to snipe all of the eggs without them waking up. So I have to take a look at that. I have to try that one out, but it's not terribly difficult except for those 2 things. So I'm sure doing it on hard, not bad. It's just that one part. So I think if you play, you'll get it.
I'm playing it on normal, and like, goddamn, man, like those super battle droids on normal are such a pain in the ass.
Yep, they can be.
I looked up the trophy guide on PSN Profiles, and it says
that site.
Yep, it's one of the best. It says it takes 15 hours, 1 playthrough, and a 3 out of 10 difficulty. So
I think it might be a little bit more than maybe for me, but yeah. So how about those?
On the coach scale.
Yeah, on the coach scale. How about them Star Wars games that got delayed? Right? Have they said anything about that? That one that that all they did was show the CGI little teaser.
The Knights of the Republic
Eclipse?
No, not that one. The other one. Yeah. That's just probably in
That's not
development
gonna come
hell.
out.
Austin and I were talking last week. Like, I doubt very much that game is ever coming out. Ever.
That and Metroid 4 will never come out.
I think Metroid 4 could come out like 20 years from now. Like, I believe Nintendo would like release a game 20 years after it was made, 10 years after it was made.
Miyamoto said Pikmin 4 is already done. It's just sitting waiting. So,
Dude, he said that, no joke, Coach. Like at this point, 7
ago,
or
maybe?
8 years ago.
Yeah,
and
but also,
I think about that consistently. I'm like, what is this man talking about? Where is this game?
I went to E3 in 2014. I was like writing for a website and I was living in Los Angeles, and I like put a whole bunch of people up in my apartment for the night because I just like didn't have a hotel space for them. And so I did that, and then while everyone was traveling, I was the only person who wasn't traveling because I already lived in Los Angeles. So I was just doing like news coverage for them. So I was just watching the PlayStation press conference and just writing news stories. And that was how I was able to get a ticket. They're like, "Oh, dude, you really showed up tonight. Thank you. Here's a pass for you." And so that was how I got in. But man, I remember writing a reveal article for Dead Island 2 in 2014. And that game just got a brand new reveal trailer a week ago.
It's the Duke Nukem of our era.
It really is, man. Good grief.
You guys have anything else you'd like to add? Any final notes?
Are there any games you guys are excited for the rest of the year?
Yeah, God of War.
Splatoon and God of War, and that's it.
Splatoon and Pokemon. That's all I got.
Yeah.
Coach, you missed it. I've been having like a Switch renaissance lately. Like, I've been
Yeah.
so into my Switch. I got really into Xenoblade Chronicles, really enjoying that game. And then from there, I just went through, I started playing Super Mario 3D World again and just having a blast and like really appreciating the Switch for the first time since I bought it, to be completely honest.
Isn't 3D World such a good game?
The more I think about it, man, it might be like, I think Galaxy is my favorite 3D Mario game, but I think 3D World is probably the best 3D Mario game.
Yes,
right?
it 100% is.
Like mechanically the best one.
Also, just to kind of regroup to what we brought up before about Pikmin 4, because I looked it up. Eurogamer on September 7th, 2015,
Jesus,
said that they had spoken in an exclusive interview with Shigeru Miyamoto where he said it was very close to completion. And he said they're always working on the next one. This was in 2015. We can confirm that Pikmin 4 is in development, but that's all we can confirm at the present.
How about Metroid
2015,
Prime?
I was pretty poor, and the amount of times I told utility companies, like, no, the check is in the mail. He's completely just, the check is in the mailing.
It's out there. It's just waiting. One day we're going to get a Nintendo Direct, and they're going to be like, Pikmin 4 is out.
Yeah, no, we sent them to stores like 6 years ago. Like, any day now, I'm sure it'll come up. It was
Supply
on
chain issues.
Yeah, it was on the Evergreen or whatever that boat was that got stuck in the Suez Canal last year. Like, it was all on that boat.
I love the fact that now everyone's like trying to hype up some Direct next month.
Oh, is it?
It's happening. It's going to happen. It's going to happen.
Yeah, and so before we wrap up, let's have like an actual fun conversation. Austin shared a story with us earlier about like a rumored Nintendo Direct that's happening in September, where they're going to reveal Legend of Zelda Wind Waker for Switch. They're going to reveal Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess for Switch.
Yeah.
And Metroid Prime Collection for Switch. And the first thing I said was, holy crap, that sounds awesome, which is why I don't believe it, because I feel like just Charlie Brown with a kickball at this point. Like, the amount of times the internet has set me up to kick a field goal and then just pull the ball away at the last second, I can't even count that high. So there's no way this is happening, right? Like, I think there will be a Direct, but there's no way we're going to get the games we actually want, right?
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I 100% think a Direct is happening next month, because between this and the Snitch, who has been that big Twitter leaker over the past few months, who's gotten literally everything right that he's leaked. He leaked a Direct for September as well. So I 100% think a Direct is happening. But do I think necessarily that Wind Waker and Twilight Princess and Metroid Prime are all going to be announced in the same Direct? Absolutely not.
So are you going to pay another $60 for Wind Waker HD. I mean, like, we have it on the Wii U. Like, it's gonna look the same.
I will.
It's gonna play
I
the
don't,
same.
I don't want to play my Wii U anymore.
I will absolutely pay for that.
So $120 for both of those games.
It'll probably be 60 for total. I can't imagine they would
This
do
is
60
Nintendo,
each.
bro. Because think about it, Skyward Sword was 60.
That's true. That is true.
But that was the only, not the only, but that was the only like original Wii Zelda game, right? Like they could in theory bundle this as like the GameCube collection. They're not going to. But like as a fan, I like in my heart, I want to believe that they will.
They're gonna.
I mean, they did the Mario 3D All Stars collection, right? Like,
I was about to bring that up. I was going to say they're going to release this, and they're going to say it's going to come out November 1st.
Yeah, I know, right?
And we're going to take it off the eShop
March 31st
at the end of the year. Yeah,
it'll be available for 9 minutes. Get ready, boys. Jeff Keighley is the leaker, right? Like the snitch or whatever. That's like his burner account. This is the most important job Jeff Keighley has.
I thought it was generally agreed on that it was a YouTube employee.
That's the theory, is that it's a YouTube employee, and they're looking on the back end and seeing all the videos that have been uploaded
all the
and
scheduled stuff.
Private.
Okay.
Yeah. So, which would make sense because they've leaked things from everybody at this point. Like it hasn't just been one platform or one.
Eventually, one of these companies is going to get like really sly to it, though, and they're going to like upload a fake trailer or something.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's going to get leaked, and they're going to be like, okay, well, now we know where it's coming from.
Man, the mole hunt episodes of like a spy show are always like the most fun episodes. So yeah, I hope that happens, and I hope Aaron Sorkin writes a script about it. I'd watch that movie. I wonder who Bryce Dallas Howard's going to play in it. Mark Ruffalo is probably going to be Reggie Fils-Aimé. I'm into it. I will watch.
Is going to be the leaker.
Oh my god!
Yes.
So as far as Zelda, I would much rather have a remake of the original Zelda with the engine and graphics of Link's Awakening. I mean, for me, I'd rather do that. I'd want to see that. Like, that was my first Zelda game, right? Playing it back in the day when it first came out.
I think there's potential for another remake. One, because Grezzo has not done anything since. What's the game that we just talked about? The Switch one, George?
Link's Awakening?
Yeah, Link's Awakening, which that was, 2019? Maybe 2020?
A couple years ago, yeah.
So they haven't really done anything since then, but I'm going to put money on it being either Oracle of Ages and Seasons or Minish Cap. I would think it's going to be one of those.
Is Grezzo outright owned by Nintendo, or are they still like third party?
I'm not entirely sure about that.
Second party, I guess.
Let me look it up. Yeah, but I'll be curious to see what they do, because this leak that I found, this was from Video Games Chronicle. They said that this is going to be like a Zelda blowout direct. So they might announce some of this stuff. They might have info on Breath of the Wild 2.
Why though? It's not even like an anniversary. Like last year was the anniversary. That's when you do like a blowout.
Right.
They're probably starting like the hype train for Breath of the Wild 2. If they're going to do that, then you could assume that March is going to be the release, right? Or did they say holiday for Breath of the Wild 2?
I thought they said spring, if I'm remembering correctly. I can't recall. No, I don't think Grezzo is owned by Nintendo, just for clarification. And no, they really have not released a big game since 2019. They ported Miitopia to the Switch this year.
Man, I hate to put on like my Seth shoes right now, but I'm going to have like a total Seth take about this. Like Nintendo completely ruined any goodwill they had with Breath of the Wild, because like Breath of the Wild 2 was announced and it felt like they were going back to the Nintendo 64 days of like Ocarina of Time came out. Here's a brand new Zelda game called Majora's Mask. It came out like a year later. Because it was just reusing assets and reusing the engine and everything. And it was just like, holy crap, we got a Zelda game so fast. And it seemed like that's what they wanted to do with Breath of the Wild 2 when they announced it, right? Like, holy crap, a whole new Zelda game like built on the same engine, like released 2 years later. We're so lucky. And then all of a sudden it's been like, 3 years since they announced it?
I actually forgot about it. Yeah.
And so it's like, okay, like you guys completely dropped the ball with what you were hoping to achieve with this announcement. So congratulations. Like now we're all angry and you're not making money. So like,
you're angry?
I'm a little frustrated. Like, I would have been way more into it if they just like announced it and been like, "Hey, it's coming out this year," and it like okay, like it's ready. Like, I thought it was gonna be just like a wham bam, quick follow up because like, yeah, for sure, always P's and Q's, but like they just wanted to like follow it up and they just dropped the ball.
Well, the fascinating thing is too, I didn't even realize this until recently, but this is the longest time we have had between 2 original Zelda games.
Really?
So the time between Breath of the Wild and Breath of the Wild 2 is the longest gap we have ever had when it comes to excluding remakes.
That cannot be true.
Yeah, it is.
Skyward Sword was 2011.
Yeah, it was 2011, but here's the thing.
And Twilight Princess was 2005.
Twilight Princess was 2006, but then you had Phantom Hourglass 2007, Spirit Tracks 2009.
Okay.
Skyward Sword 2011. And then even between Skyward Sword and Breath of the Wild, we had A Link Between Worlds 2013. So I don't know where they're going with that series. And I agree with you, George. I think when they announced it, it was kind of implied that, oh yeah, this is going to be a quick turnaround.
Well, I wonder if it has anything to do with that new software that they're using that upreses, and it's going to make everything look a lot better. So, I mean, we don't know what's happening on the back end, right? So, to me, it hasn't bothered me. I know it's been a while, but it honestly hasn't bothered me that much. Maybe just because...
That's easy to say for somebody that doesn't play video games.
Yeah. Oh, shit. Oh, shit! Shots fired! It's weird, too.
Coach is nodding.
It's weird, too, because, like, I started playing Xenoblade Definitive Edition because everyone was talking about how great Xenoblade Chronicles 3 was. And I was like, okay, like, I'm going to burn through this series as fast as I possibly can. But everyone has to say about Xenoblade Chronicles 3 is like, oh, this game's great. I just wish the Switch didn't struggle to play it. And it's like, all right, you're really telling me, like, granted, the Nintendo team that's making Zelda is probably their top tier team. If not, like, the Mario team is their top tier team, right? Like, those are their 2 best studios. And I don't think it was their best. Like, Monolith is not their best, right? Like, they don't know the hardware as well as Nintendo does. But, like, still a pretty important game. And so I assume that Breath of the Wild 2 is going to run better than Xenoblade Chronicles 3 will. But I am also afraid, like, because it's going to run better, it's not going to be as ambitious as they probably want it to be by now, right? Because it's one of those things where, like, oh, well, this game is only of X quality because it came out a year after the original. But now it's been 4 years since, like, Breath of the Wild. Or Breath of the Wild came out in 2017. It's been 5 years now.
Yeah, 5 years.
So it's like, all right, like, we're kind of expecting more now that it's been so long.
By the way, just wait until you get to Xenoblade Chronicles 2, because when you're playing in handheld on that game, it runs, no joke, George, at like 240p.
It's rough.
It's very blurry.
Sick. Can't wait to get there.
So, but I've heard 3 was a massive improvement. My understanding is they really fixed the performance and graphics.
I've been playing everything docked mode, man. I love my wireless GameCube controller. That's how I want to play all my Switch games.
Nice.
Wait, what?
I got the wireless, the PDA. What's it called? Like the...
Oh snap! I thought you were talking about when you say wireless GameCube controller. I'm thinking about the original one. I'm like
the Wavebird. No.
Yeah, no. Bro, how are you getting that to play on there?
I bet you could. I bet you could. They got that USB dongle for GameCube controllers for Smash Brothers. I bet you could.
Bro, I love that controller when it came out.
Yeah, it's
playing Resident Evil remake on that. Oh,
it is still the best controller.
All right, guys. Well, let's wrap it up there. Thank you all for listening. Of course, you already know if you're listening to us, but we're on pretty much everything. So share the show with your friends. Let them know they can find us wherever they listen to their podcasts. We are on social media at frameskippod on pretty much everything. We are also available individually on social media. I am at Austin J. Eller. George is at PurpleBird616. That's also where you can find his sister podcast, Shortbox Summary. So go find that there.
Woo!
George, what have you got coming up on Shortbox Summary?
This week we've got Daredevil 2003 starring Ben Affleck and
Nice.
and Jennifer Garner. And next week, I've got an interview, hopefully, with Heather Antos, who was an editor of Marvel Comics. She oversaw all the Star Wars books when that license came back to Marvel. So very excited for that interview.
Who is it?
Very cool.
Heather Antos.
Well, what did she do?
She was the editor in charge of a bunch of books at around 2015, including a bunch of the Star Wars books.
Do you know which ones?
Dr. Aphra, Darth Vader, I think were her two big ones.
Oh, okay. You're talking comic books.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm thinking novels. I'm like, wait, what? You got me interested there for a second.
I never got into the novels, man. I always wanted to. I bet if I had those in audiobook, I'd get more into them. But
And then, of course, Seth is also on Twitter at Seth the 90s Kid.
That's right.
Coach is not on Twitter. He's just working
I'm riding
away.
my bike.
Working away. He's bike packing.
That's right.
Bike packing. He's folding up that bike, taking it on planes. So thank you all for listening. Hope to catch you guys next week. We'll see you then.
Peace.
smooch.